Okay, we should be live now. Did I sit there talking for a few minutes to a private page? Yes, I did. But we're live now. Um, Welcome in. This is Talking Tide. This is the ULM Preview Show. We're gonna sit here for just a second and let some people pile in. Um, I was sitting there thinking, it's awfully quiet, and yeah, I was sitting there talking to a private page. How's it going, Blake? How you doing, man? Um, this is the preview show. This is the second time we've gone live. If you hadn't been into one of these shows before, I'm gonna go through my whole spiel, how I feel about the game, and how I feel about the state of the program, and then we will go into questions, comments, concerns, stuff like that afterwards. We'll just give it a few minutes just to have some guys pile in. Um, yeah, I sat there talking for a few minutes just to no one except for myself. Yeah, congrats to Amari Cooper on retiring, man. Absolute legend. Kind of underrated, honestly. Hey, John David, how you doing? I'm doing good, man. I feel like we'll get a win this week, so I feel better than I did last week about the same time. Um, yeah, man, Amari Cooper, absolute legend. He's just one of those underrated guys for some reason, man. He was kind of in between like the Smitty and Julio era, but he was one of those guys who always produced. And yeah, he's a legend, 100%. I thought to myself, yeah, it happens every once in a while. I was sitting here just listening to some podcasts, writing the show, and yeah, just decided to go ahead and stream it to nobody. We will get this underway here in just a second. Please do like and subscribe. Hit the little bell notification if you want to catch up with these live streams. I'll post them all as well. This is a little bit earlier than our normal preview show. We normally do it about 7 o'clock, but we got high school football tonight, and we'll try and make it to a game, so we got it in a little bit early. Yeah, he was dominant against Auburn, and if you can go out and you can play against Auburn consistently, you're always going to be a Bama legend. Yeah, he had a heck of a good career. I was surprised to see him retire, not kind of as early as he did, but yeah, he had an awesome career. I'm sure he'll have a great life post career as well. So maybe get him, be an analyst, something like that. He's one of those guys who knows the game very well, and he'll succeed in pretty much whatever he does, just based on his work ethic. So congrats to him. We'll go ahead and get straight into the show. I know people are just kind of getting off work. It's Friday. People are getting off work, going and finding some place to hang out, watch some high school football, things like that. So I won't take up too much of you guys' time, but like I said, if you are not able to join the live, we will do it as a video as well, so I'll post it afterwards. First things first, I want to cover, we just got some like housekeeping stuff. First things first, I want to talk about the Jeremiah Beeman injury. That's obviously a big problem for us. We're already thin at that position. Tim Keenan's hurt, so Jeremiah Beeman was subbing in for him. Didn't have his best weekend, and then of course he goes out and tears his ACL. I think that was Monday or Tuesday afternoon. London Simmons is who's up next on the depth chart. We saw him a little bit, I think, last week, but we're gonna see how he plays. Because now this isn't just a who's gonna play till Tim Keenan is healthy issue. It's gonna be who's gonna be backing up Tim Keenan because with Beeman and an ACL injury, you're not coming back for the rest of the season. So he'll redshirt, I'm sure, this year, but. That's a big loss for the Tide. We didn't have our best game last week on the defense, but I think Beeman's supremely talented, and I'm very sad to see him go down this early in the season. I feel like we'll see some movement on that spot in the chart. Edric Hill got a little bit of play time last week as well, so we got to find someone who can be dominant up front, stay healthy, and make some problems in the backfield for quarterbacks. But we'll get into that a little bit. But that's just something to watch. Another thing I want to talk about that's not specifically Bama related, I wanted to talk about. I don't know if you guys saw this. I saw this drop just before the live stream went up. The transfer portal has been, or the NCAA has voted for the transfer portal to be a one-time portal now, and it's going to be open for 10 days. It'll start on January the 2nd. So that's a big change. I think that's a very positive change for the NCAA going forward. The only thing I have a problem with in this is I wish they would have pushed it back to post playoffs So it's going to happen on January the 2nd. I want to say the playoffs start somewhere in that first week of January. I'm not exactly sure the specific date, but January the 19th is when the national championship is played, so it's going to be roughly a week before that. Maybe January the 12th is the weekend of the playoff games, but positive overall, but I do wish that they would have pushed that back to post national championship game. I don't know why that can't be done, but it is a positive. Hopefully we'll continue to move in that direction. So we have a one-time portal that'll last 10 days. It'll go from the 2nd of January to the 12th of January, so the weekend before the national championship game. Another thing as well, I want to talk a little bit about, I don't know if anybody watched the Eagles game last night. It was a pretty eventful game, but had a lot of Bama talent out there on the field. Had guys like Tyler Booker, rookie, Jihad Campbell, the rookie. John Mechie was out there. Jalen Hurts, obviously. All the guys had a pretty good game. Jalen and Jihad Campbell got away with a win against the Cowboys in their opener. Jalen had a good game, threw for like almost 200 yards, something like that. Did a lot with the legs, scored 2 rushing touchdowns. But I want to talk specifically about Jihad Campbell. I mean, the dude is an absolute machine. He'll play anywhere on the field you want. He got a forced fumble that kind of flipped the tide of that game. Him and Byron Young, who's another former Bama guy, stripped away the ball, forced a fumble, and that eventually kind of helped the Eagles end up getting a win. But there was a play that came out. I wish I had it pulled up. I love Dan Casey. If you don't follow Coach Dan Casey on Instagram, give him a follow. He comes out with a lot of great stuff. Really smart guy. I've got his book over here somewhere, but follow him. He posted something earlier today showing Jihad Campbell. They were playing cover 2, essentially 2 high safeties, and for that middle linebacker, either you blitz or you try and get back and you set up in coverage, and he was 20 yards down the seam playing a little bit of pass coverage. Got a breakup as well. So he is absolutely a generational talent for Bama, and he's obviously very missed. So shout out to Jihad Campbell. Eagles are full. Yeah, dude. Eagles are full of Bama and Georgia guys. I mean, Bama and Georgia are very similar in the way that they set up and the way they develop talent and send them to the NFL, because Kirby under Saban, learned how to do it very well, and the Eagles are taking great advantage of that. Guys like Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, Jihad Campbell now, I believe it's Byron Young, John Mechie. I mean, there's a ton of talent out there for the Eagles. And like you said, stacked full of Bama, Georgia guys. Only Georgia guy that wasn't on the field was Jalen Carter after that spitting situation, which was, if you spit on me, we got real problems. Campbell could 100% be an all-pro. He is supremely talented, and it's only game 1. He went out there and made some things happen, helped them get a win. The Jalen Carter thing was weird. If you spit on me, we got serious problems. Apparently, Jalen Carter was chirping Tyler Booker. That provoked Dak to say something to him, and he kind of spit in his direction. But it's different spitting in someone's direction and then spitting on somebody. If you spit on me, we got real problems. And then Jalen Carter got kicked out of the game. Could have lost the game because of that. The pass rush wasn't quite as good for the Eagles, but and the Cowboys traded Micah Parsons, so their pass rush was non-existent, and Jalen kind of was able to do whatever he wanted in that game. So good for him. Glad to see the Bama boys go out there and get a win. I thought they played very, very well. And Jalen's in my fantasy team, so I'll take all the points I can get. All right, so if you are jumping into the stream, please do please subscribe. We're just doing some housekeeping stuff, talking about the Jeremiah Beeman injury, the transfer portal changes, and the Eagles-Cowboys game last night. NFL's back on. I don't really care that much about the NFL unless it's a Bama guy or if I have somebody in my fantasy team. So appreciate Jalen going out there and picking me up some fantasy points this weekend because Lord knows I need it. All right, so first things first is going to be sorry. Nutrition. Hold on, I think that was that player from last year. Yeah, he did. Yep, 100% did. And dude, if you spit on somebody, that's just gross. That's so disgusting. I'd rather you punch me in the face, which the Cowboys did that too. I can't remember who that was, but someone absolutely got punched in the face in that game last night, and nobody called it. Yeah, I got you. Trayshawn Holden. Yeah, Treason Holden. It's close enough. But yeah, dude, somebody got punched in the face last night too. I'd rather you punch me in the face than spit on me, just for the record. So if you see me in public and you don't like my takes, or you don't like some of the shows, punch me in the face. Don't spit on me, Because if you spit on me, we will fight. Somebody's going to jail. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get into this game a little bit this weekend. So I want to preface this by saying it's Louisiana Monroe. We should dog walk them. Should be no problem. We've got the talent on both sides of the ball to make this game not an issue. So I'm not going to talk a ton about Louisiana Monroe. There's not a lot of scouting to be done on Louisiana Monroe. I want to talk more about what this program can do to start building up some confidence and some confidence in the fan base and confidence in the fans both, and what the players and the coaches can do to go ahead and try and help establish that. And that's mostly what this show is going to be about. We'll talk a little bit about what the game is going to look like and kind of how it has to play out. But first things first, I want to know who are the leaders on this team. That's the big thing there, John David. I think we should destroy Louisiana Monroe. Wisconsin next week, going to be a little bit tougher, and then obviously we go play Georgia. So this is what we need to be doing to try and establish a little bit of confidence in this team, because this team is devout of confidence, and that's down to the fan base reaction to the lack of effort, which the fan base has had a very, very reasonable reaction to what happened in this game. So I'm going to start off with this. Who are the leaders on this team? That's question number one. Now, they had a players-only meeting this past week. Nobody really knows what was said about that. I think there's some value to be had in a players-only meeting. I don't put up a lot to it. It's a chance for players to go and talk without coaches present, and that's whatever. I don't put a lot of value in it, but hopefully there's some leaders who stood up. And so, number one, I'm going to put first leader as Tim Keenan. Now, he is hurt, but he is a voice in that locker room. Hopefully when he comes back, he'll be a valuable asset and a leader on that defensive line, because as we saw last week, the defensive line is somewhat non-existent, especially the pass rush is non-existent. This team is very unpredictable, obviously. Yeah, we should dog walk them. We really should. Now, ULM, I looked at their stats and looked at a little bit of film. They put up like 400 yards last week against whoever, the high school team that they played. Got a couple sacks, got an interception, and forced a couple of fumbles. So they're not a walkover team. And if you're like me and you're old enough to remember when Saban and Bama lost to Louisiana Monroe, I don't think that game was even televised. We listened to it on the radio. So we don't want a repeat of that, but we should be able to go out and we should be able to dominate that game. So leader number two, and this is a guy who actually was a bright spot on this team, I thought, this week. There aren't a lot, but this was a guy who was a bright spot. Is Parker Brailsford. The offensive line got eaten up, especially in the second half of that Florida State game. But I think that Parker Brailsford had a solid football game. I think he's a leader. He's been one of the biggest improvements as far as replacements go. Everybody knows with the previous center that we had, got flamed a lot, hurt us a lot 2 years ago. And then Parker Brailsford came in from Washington with Kalen DeBoer, and I think he's done a very good job so far. I think he's only in his second year at Bama, but I think he's consistent. I think he's solid. I think he can be a leader, and we need a leader on that offensive line. We have a lot of experience up there, but it's not a lot of cohesive experience. These guys haven't played together a ton. So I'm looking at Parker Brailsford to be one of those guys who really steps up to be a voice for that offensive line and lead by example a little bit. Next up, I'm going to go with Deontay Lawson. Now, this is a little bit more of an obvious pick. Deontay Lawson is a veteran of this team, has played defense for Bama for the past couple of years. I'm going to caveat this, Deontay Lawson, with he very well still might not be healthy. He dealt with an ACL injury last year. So I'm not going to say that he's not giving it 100% because I don't think he's 100% healthy. But that being said, our linebacking unit last weekend was the worst part of the team. And there's a lot of problems that happened with that team last week, but the linebacking core was probably the biggest of the bunch. Lack of eye discipline, lack of gap discipline, lack of effort, not reading the plays as they go on, but I think that has to change. And Deontay Lawson is a talented guy. I think he can do that. I think he can be a leader for this team. But the linebacking core has got to improve week to week. Whenever we go to Georgia, it's going to be a different ballgame. Florida State's a solid unit, and they're going to be a good football team this year, I believe. But whenever you go play Georgia in Athens, if we go in there with the same linebacking unit as far as talent and effort goes, we're going to get crushed. It's just not even going to be close. Big Brailsford defender. Yeah, he picked up the fumble and he ran with the ball and gave us a chance to, I think it was either to kick a field goal or go for it on fourth down. I'm a big Brailsford guy. I really do like him. Every time I look at charts as far as guys who gave up pressures and sacks and stuff like that, he's always super low on the list. He snaps the ball very well, which is obviously not an easy thing to do. If you're a Bama center, we've seen that in the past. So I'm a big Brailsford guy, and I think he can be a leader on that team. So on to the next. Now, another bright spot, another guy who I thought had played very well last weekend. Again, one of the few is Jeremy Bernard. He is one of those guys, when you look out on that field, he's an absolute dog. And he said something to the media last week that I really liked. I don't know if you guys watched The Dynasty with AJ and Trent Richardson and Chris Stewart. Trent Richardson went on there, and he was talking about mentality. That was the big talking point for everything this week, so I'll probably talk about that a lot. Is the mentality of this team going forward. We just don't look hungry for it. And something that Trent Richardson said that I loved, and then Jeremy Bernard went and repeated it. I don't know if it's because of what Richardson said, but he said something along the lines of, Richardson said something along the lines of, if I go out there and I don't execute this or execute that, my family won't eat. My brothers, they're not going to have food on their plate. My kids are not going to have food on their plate. And then Jeremy Bernard went out and said essentially the same thing word for word, that the guy across from you is trying to take your family's meal from tonight. So go out there and beat him and don't let him take it. And that's the kind of mentality that we have to have on this football team, because if we don't, we're going to see efforts like we did against Florida State, and we're going to go out there and we're going to get beat. I like D-Law too. He wasn't up. Yeah, I don't know if D-Law is hurt. If he is, there's some leniency there. We rotated linebackers a lot last week. I don't know if that's because we were struggling or if it's because he was hurt as well. I expect him to get better as the year goes on, getting up to game speed, stuff like that. But if he is healthy, he's got to put in a little more effort. Yeah, Jeremy is the definition of Bama mentality. I think he is one of the few bright spots that was in that team last week. I think if he continues to do that going forward, I said at the beginning of the year, I think even after last week, I think he might just be wide receiver number one, just full stop. I said he could be at the beginning of the year, but he's earned that this week. He's one of the few guys who can pick his head up and say, I went out there and did it this week. I need you guys to step up and do the same. And again, that could have been what was said in that team meeting. We don't know. But he's one of the few guys who can go out there with his head held high. He played a good game against Florida State, and I think he'll be even more valuable going down the stretch, but everyone else around him has to step up at the same time. All right, we'll go on to the next. So please please subscribe. I know I asked that a lot. I'm really trying to get this this podcast up and running. So please please subscribe, and hit that notification so you know when we go live. He's going to get many yards too, I think, Horton. I think Horton and Williams be out. Yeah, I don't think Ryan Williams plays. If he plays, it's very limited minutes. Horton was dealing with that hip injury. We saw last week he was on the bike in the middle of the game, so I'll be curious to see how much playtime he gets. I want to see Horton. I think he needs the game time before Georgia to get really healthy, or to get up to game speed rather, but he has to stay healthy at the same time. So I agree. He'll get some limited play time, but I doubt we really see Ryan Williams most of the week. I don't think he gets many snaps at all, if any. All right. So this is what so we're going to go ahead and so what to expect for this week and what we need to see going forward. We talked about leaders. The first things first, and everybody has said it this week from everybody you listen to, even people who don't like Alabama, who have probably rooted for Alabama to lose year after year, you got to see effort, specifically from the defense. And I may be picking on the defense a little bit here, but when you circle things that were problems in the game, defense was really one of them. The lack of effort, the lack of hustle, the lack of intensity, the lack of want, it was lacking. It was concerning with how little we looked like we were trying out there. So that has to change this week. I think that even guys who were at the game, like guys like AJ McCarron, there was one other guy who was there as well, but I can't remember who it was. He was a former running back. Maybe Damian Harris. I can't remember. But they went out there and they talked about, oh, Bama went out, we scored on the opening drive, great opening drive, and guys on the sideline didn't care. There was no energy. There was no togetherness. There was no want to fight for the guy beside you. It was just dead. It was kind of like oh yeah, we scored. All right, let's move on. And that's not what the sideline needs to be like. You see videos coming up on Instagram now about Saban teams, and I hate bringing up, Saban stuff, but that's what we have to compare it to as Bama fans. You got guys who are out there, they're fighting on the sideline. They're winning games, and defenses are almost fist fighting each other on the sidelines because they care. They want to do better. And we didn't have that this week. I'm going to be very curious to watch it. It's a night game. It's in Bryant-Denny. And, I get chills thinking about going to Bryant-Denny at night, talking about that. I'm excited to go. But I'm going to be curious to see how that sideline reacts. I want to see if we're amped and we're hyped and we're ready for it, or if we go out there and we're dead. And if we're dead, I'm going to be very concerned going forward. They got to have a Zach Braun effort. Yeah, exactly. You got to go out there and you got to want to make tackles, be disciplined, do the dirty stuff, win in the trenches, do the hard work. That's what we have to have going forward if we want to have any chance of winning a natty this year. All right, on to the next. We got to see a pass rush. And that's not specifically for ULM only. We have to see a pass rush going forward for this year if we want to succeed at all. Quarterback play now is defensive reading of quarterbacks is as tough as it's ever been now. You have mobile quarterbacks, you have RPOs, you have offensive schemes that can absolutely tear defenses apart if you're not disciplined and you're not playing assignment football. And it all starts with getting a pass rush. You got to go in there. You got to make the quarterback, they have to feel uncomfortable. You have to put pressure on them. And even if you don't make sacks, at least you hit them a couple times and let them know that you're there. Yeah, we didn't have any passion. Yeah, exactly. Fight like your life depends on it. See, the thing is, it used to because you didn't get paid in college football. Now you do. So I'm not going to talk a lot about the money aspect. I want these guys to get paid. I want them to make their money. But I want them to do it because they're working hard on the field. I'm not going to talk too much about the money thing. That could be something we get in the future. But yeah, fight like your life depends on it. Yeah, so we have to go back there. We have to make the quarterback uncomfortable. We have to get a pass rush. And I know we're a little bit thin now on the defensive line. Beeman being hurt, Tim Keenan being hurt. So we're down to a couple of true freshmen, and London Simmons probably going to be playing that position this week. I think against Louisiana Monroe, I'm not as concerned. You will have to scheme a few things, bring a little bit more pressure in the future if Tim Keenan is not 100% for games like Georgia. But we have to be better at creating pass rush. We talked about this a lot last year too. It was a serious problem for us last year, not getting pressures on the quarterback. So we have to figure out a way to do that, whether it's with different personnel or different scheming. Another one, we have to be physical in the trenches. And I said this a minute ago. The opening drive and the second drive that we put together, we looked dominant. We were able to move the Florida State line wherever we wanted to, open up run gaps. We did pass pro very well, and we were able to be very physical up front. Defense, we liked it a little bit in those first two. Well, we liked it a lot in those opening drives and as the game continued. But for the offense, it was concerning that we stopped doing it. We were very physical. We were very tough. We moved them around. And then after the first two drives, we just stopped. We stopped running the ball for one. We carried for 55 yards in that first drive, and then we carried for 25 for the other three quarters. So that's a real problem. But you got to win up front on both sides of the ball. Now, we talked about pass rush on defense, but it even goes to so much as like run gapping. Know what gap you're supposed to be in, know where you're supposed to be on the field, know what part of the field you're supposed to cover, and make it happen. Don't have guys hitting the same gaps. We saw it last week. It was Jahad Campbell, and I think it was Nakai Hill Green. It was one of the two other backers. They were running a simple read option. Quarterback hands it. He sees where linebackers go. If they go to him, he lets the ball go. If they don't, he takes the ball and goes around the edge. We had two guys going after the running back, and Castellanos busted a big run around the edge. Like, that kind of stuff shouldn't happen. If you go in and you watch some film study on football and defense especially, that kind of stuff does not need to happen. We have to play more disciplined football and not have everybody – it's like baseball. It's like t-ball. It's whenever kids hit the ball and every single player from the outfield to the first baseman all run around the ball and try and pick it up and then get it over to get the guy out. We don't need to do that. You play your assignment. You stay in your spot. You play disciplined defense. And if we don't do that, we'll be in serious trouble going forward. Shout out Rico Scott. Rico Scott's gonna be great. He was a bright spot at the end of last year as well. I think he's gonna be very good. The problem is with wide receivers now, we just see it where we don't have the pass pro to get guys open. And we ran a couple of plays last week that took a long time to develop. Guys weren't getting on their routes quite fast enough for the speed of the game. But I think Rico Scott's going to be very, very good going forward. So win in the trenches. That's a big, big problem on both sides of the ball. That's for offense and defense. Protect your quarterback. I talked about it before last game. Let Ty get comfortable sitting in the pocket. Protect him. All the guys up front are veterans. They're upperclassmen. They know how to play ball. Let them go out there, protect the quarterback. And then on the other side of the ball, you got to get pressure, whether it's with linebackers or defensive line or however you want to scheme it up. But you got to win in the trenches on both sides of the ball. Running head comes off. A lot of confusion and a lack of discipline. We genuinely were doing that. We were just going back and watching film. It was kind of depressing, to be honest, because it was just a lot of, and it was simple to see. If we see it watching it on TV or going to watch it back on YouTube, they have to see it in the film room. So it's not an issue where, oh, we don't know what's going on. We see what's going on, but we just have to go out there and solve it. Another thing going forward, we have to be balanced. Ty threw the ball 43 times last game. He dropped back 43 times in that game to throw the ball. Now, that number is going to be inflated because of we were down, we had to get back in the game, and we had to drop back and try and throw the ball a lot more. But like I said, we ran for 55 yards on that opening drive. We took up 7.5 minutes of that first quarter. We did not let them have the ball for 7.5 minutes, and we put up 7 points because of it. So I think going forward, we have to be more balanced. I know Ryan Grubb is a very good offensive coordinator. I think he will do good things, Ryan Grubb. I think he's got a quarterback now that he trusts. I think he's got a very deep running back room also. So we have the talent, we have the skill to play very balanced football, but we can't go away from the run 3 drives in just because the other team scored 2 touchdowns. You went out there, you scored based on running the ball. Whenever we went out there and that opening drive, I genuinely thought that we were just going to run the ball till we punted. But we didn't. We went out there. We trusted Ty. On the second or third play, he ran out and threw a 20-yarder to Jeremy, and we were off and moving. We were playing great football, and then we went away from it, and I don't know why. I don't know if it was a scheme thing. I don't know if Florida State made adjustments where they shut down the run a little bit easier, but we have to play more balanced football going forward. The best Bama teams were you didn't know if they were going to run or if they were going to pass on 3rd down and 4. Now we're pretty much pass only, which – again, in the opening drive of that game, it was a 3rd down and 7. We ran for a 1st down. So the run game can be elite, but you have to let it play out. You have to trust it. You have to be balanced. You have to let the guys go out there and run the ball a little bit. Lean into that defense because it'll pay dividends early on in the game, like we saw, but it's also going to pay dividends late because you're just leaning on those guys on the defense, and you're wearing them down, you're beating them up a little bit, and you have the running back room to do it. So I think we have to be a lot more balanced going forward. I can see the holes are very clear. Yes, I agree 100%, Blake. Exactly. It's one of those things where everybody can see it, and you know they see it in the film room. All right, what was on the next one? Oh, on top of that, with be balanced in the run game, let Kevin Riley run the ball. I know Jam Miller's hurt. He was a standout guy. Everybody ran the ball well, but he was the best running back that we saw. DeBoer earlier in the year said that the running back room was kind of a little bit of a logjam as far as who can stand out. And I was worried that we just didn't have a guy who was skilled enough to be the number 1 guy. But we have 4 guys who could be a number 1 guy anywhere else in the country. But Kevin Riley was very, very good. I think he needs to get a lot of touches this next week and then the week after leading up to Georgia. So he was great. Go let him play football. All right, this one is, so the last one on this point is assignment football. And this one is double underlined and circled on my little notes here. we have to play good assignment football. My brother called me. I was writing show notes and my computer was crapping out, so I was trying to get a reset. He called me and he said, I was thinking, if there's one thing we need to fix up, it's assignment football. And I said, you know what? That was a top thing I wrote down in my notes, and I have it circled and double underlined. So we have to play good assignment football. We see it all over the field right now. Going back to the Vandy game, we played terrible assignment football against Oklahoma. We did not play, especially in that opening half, we did not play good assignment football. Every game we've lost, you can lay it down to assignment football. And when you're playing against guys who are, we'll say, less talented, they don't have as much talent on the field as you do, if you play assignment football, you win. It's as simple as that. If you play, when I say discipline as well, I don't just mean penalties. I mean assignment football, staying in your lane, staying in your gapping, taking the right assignment, stuff like that. That's what I talk about when I say discipline. So it's that on top of penalties as well. But play disciplined football, play smart, do your job. It's literally what Saban built the program on, is do your job. And if you can go out and you can do that against 99% of the teams that we play, we beat them because we have superior talent. Now, the problem becomes whenever you have guys not doing their assignment, that's when it becomes an issue. And I don't think that the guys out there are not they're talented enough to do the job, essentially. So I don't know if it's a coaching problem and they're not seeing this issue, saying, oh, we missed a couple things here, we missed a tackle there, and that's what we lost. No, we didn't lose because of that. We lost because we had two guys hitting the same gap at the same time. We lost because we have guys who were getting drawn on a jet sweep and they're getting their eyes over here and the ball's actually going back the other way. You have to play disciplined ball. Whenever you go up there and you say, this linebacker has the quarterback and this guy's got the running back if they play an option dive. Okay. But you both go for the running back. Like, stuff like that is a serious issue, and it's the most basic level of linebacker play, and not just specifically the linebackers. They just weren't the problem just in themselves, but just in general, that's a good example of saying we have to do a better job of knowing what our assignment is. We have to do a better job of executing. We have to do a better job of studying it in the film room, post and pregame. They say we had a great pregame. In the press conference, they said we had a great pregame practice, but you didn't show it out there on the field. Coach DeBoer says, I choose to believe we have a great football team. You didn't show it out there on the field. The talk is all for preseason. Whenever we go out on the field, I expect results from this team because of the talent that they have and because of the coaching staff that they've established. And if we don't see that on the field, why am I supposed to believe you now? We talked about all this stuff in the pregame, the disrespect will be addressed and all this and that, but it wasn't. You went out there and you got your tail whooped. It's as simple as that. Hope to prove everyone wrong, including me. I'm scared, but it's the first game I've said. Yeah, that's the thing. I say all this not because I don't think this team can do it. I say it all because I know we can, and that makes me more disappointed. If we're Toledo and we go and we play Georgia, we don't have the guys to beat Georgia. But the fact that I know we have the guys that can go out and win, and there's something missing in there, whether it's coaching, whether it's effort, whether it's putting the guys in the wrong spot as far as scheme goes, there's something in there that's missing. Because I know we have the talent, but we just have to have the want, the execution, and the drive to do it. I'm glad they put us down in the rankings. Oh, yeah. We dropped. I'll be honest. I listened to the UC, or who was it? The North Carolina game, and Kirby and Fowler were saying that we weren't even ranked on their ballots. So I'm surprised. I'm not surprised that we're ranked, but I could have seen this dropping like 24, 25. So play good assignment football, and that goes for not just this weekend, that not goes for just next weekend, but that goes for the rest of the season. We lost to Vandy because we didn't play good assignment football. We lost to Oklahoma because we didn't play good assignment football. Michigan's kind of a wash. That game was just chaos from the start. We lost to Florida State because we didn't play good assignment football. In the last 10 games, we are a 500 team. We went 5-5 because a lot of it is assignment football stuff. And we have to start playing more discipline. We have to start calling guys out when they don't do it correctly. And it's not because we don't like them, because We don't want them to succeed. Like I said, I want them to succeed. I want them to go out there and make $1 million in the NFL because they played well. I want them to go out there and make a ton of money at Alabama because they played well. But the thing is, I know these guys have the talent to succeed. Now they just have to go out there and do it. And again, it could be coaching, it could be effort, it could be lack of film study, it could be lack of preparation. I don't know. But there's clearly something missing because of it. Here's the other thing I want to say. And now I'd say, we've talked a lot of junk about, not junk, but we're just being honest about what we've seen this past week. This game is the perfect opportunity to go out there and get some confidence. Go out there and play with some swagger. Like, we don't do that anymore. We go out there and we kind of play ho-hum football. Like, go out there and play with some swagger, especially on the defense, man. These guys are talented. They're elite. You're playing against guys on the other side who don't have a future in the NFL, more than likely. And that sounds mean, but I'm just being honest. You're going out there again playing against guys who are going to be lawyers and accountants in the future. Go out there and play with some swagger. Go out there and play some good defense. Like, we want to see that. There are people, when we sit in the same spot every year at the games, and there are people every time. It pisses me off. We go out there, and the only time they stand up is whenever we're playing bad. And I'm like, why? We go out there, we'll play. We played Auburn last year. We played so well. We played a good game. And the only time they'll stand up and say something is whenever we do something wrong. Don't be that guy. I'm not going to be the guy who just calls out the bad. I wanted to see you guys go out there. I wanted to see you succeed. I want to see you guys playing in the NFL. I want to talk about you on Mondays and Sunday night and stuff like that. I want to see that. I want these guys to succeed. But we have to call out the bad when it is bad. And this is a perfect weekend to go out there, get confidence back. I don't know if the defense is lacking confidence or if it's that they just don't want to be out there. I don't know what it is. But go out there, get some confidence. Go out there and hit somebody. Go out there and prove that you can still be a headhunting defense. Go out there and prove that you're still elite and that people should still be scared of you. Because you have an opportunity in a couple weeks to prove that you still belong on the national stage. We play Georgia in 3 weeks in Athens, and you have a chance to go out there and prove you still deserve to be on the national stage. Go out there and go out there and hit somebody. We didn't see it at all last week. We saw us get run over. We didn't go out there and hit a single person in the mouth. But we need to go do that. Like I said, I don't want to talk down on this team. I don't want to call for coaches' heads. I don't want to do any of that kind of stuff because we're not going to just jump to conclusions or anything along those lines. I think that as long as we go out there, we play assignment football this week, we get some confidence back for our defense, play balanced, play in time, let Ty throw the ball well, or let him throw in time, find some receivers, get him a little bit of confidence as well, block well, play good pass pro. We'll be fine going forward for this week and the next week. But we got to find a little bit of confidence, a little bit of swagger, a little bit of fight, a little bit of want before Georgia comes, because that's what it's going to come down to. That's what your season is going to come down to. And there are huge games going forward as well, but after that loss on week 1, every week is a make or break week. So you have to go out there and you have to play like your life depends on it every week now. Because your championship hopes do. And probably some people's jobs do as well. And again, I'm not going to be the person to call people out for jobs or whatever, but that's kind of what it comes down to now going forward, because we've lost this little bit of a cushion that we've been allowed with the 12-team playoff. Let's see. I think that's about it for tonight. I think I've gotten all my rants and raves out. It's down to these guys on how they want to respond. Yeah, if I was a Northwestern fan. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. If I was a Northwestern fan, it is what it is. We don't have a great football team. I'll go out and I'll watch the games. I'll support the team, but we're Bama. Saturday night in Bryant-Denny's means something, man. Like, we've seen so many national championships come out of that program, and it's so frustrating to watch now because I look out there and I'm like, who's the next guy to step up? I think Ty's a great guy. I think he'll be a good quarterback. I think Deontay Lawson can be elite. I think that Parker Brailsford can be elite. But I'm looking at the same time like we need a guy, or I look at Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams, but we need a guy who's able to carry the torch. So go out there and prove that you can carry the torch. We've seen so many greats come in and out of this program. Go out there and prove you to be Prove that you deserve to be on that same walk of champions that they are. And again, it's going to be down to this team to how they want to respond. And again, you got 3 weeks. You get Georgia. You have a chance to prove that. But we got to go out there. I want to see this week, and I want to see us playing with confidence, with swagger, with speed. Don't second guess anything. Don't play on your heels. Play aggressive. And just go let it loose, man. Like, you have the talent. You have the ability. You prepped well, supposedly. Go out there and prove it. That's what I want to see. I think that's going to do it for tonight. I've ranted and raved long enough. I kind of ranted out of my notes, but I appreciate you guys tuning in. Like I said, this will be posted as a video later on, so thanks for tuning in, guys. I do appreciate you, you all. Usually, like I said, it'll be a 7 o'clock show, but we had to move this one up just a little bit to the 5:30 slot because we got high school football tonight, and I want to go catch a game. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate all of you. Please don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, hit the little bell notification so you get notified when we do go live. And let me know if you guys like the live format better. I actually quite enjoy being able to talk to people and bounce ideas and talk to some of you guys out there. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that little follow button, and we'll see you back on Monday morning. Hopefully I will have a little bit of a better outlook on the season. Yeah, John David, have a great night, man. Roll Tide.